So welcome back everyone. I sadly had some internet connection problems. That is why I had to restart the broadcast. This will be the race. We had as one additional part of the qualifying. I had to restart the broadcast, but just in time, just now, as we turn towards our starting grid. And yeah, so this is it. This is it. The race start here in Monza. Off we go. Drive through penalty. Jump start for Ash Rider. While Jeppe Nielsen did not have a good start. This will be interesting here in the first chicane. No, Jeppe Nielsen stayed ahead. Chapman second, Mike Taylor then third, and some big problems for Thomas Walsh, who is back to sixth. And a good start for Blake Gary, up by 3. And in the background, what's going on? Not so much. A bit of a push here between Gary and Tom Walsh. There was something going on in the background for sure. I just saw it in glimpse of an eye. 5 seconds penalty for Nevis Ikic, and I think there was there someone going wide in Lesmo? No, everything is okay in Lesmo too. Whew. So intense start here of this race. We had a very dramatic qualifying, and just as much is the race. So let's have a look what is going on. Big loser of the start, sadly, is Andrew Mann, dropping back by 8 plus a second, plus a penalty and early pit stop for a new front wing there. Same goes for Nevis Ikic, but I'm not sure if he needs a new front wing. Trilla Gorilla, this is no pit stop, this is his drive-through penalty. He will be in a last position, except Monster Andrew Mont, who is pitting for a new nose. Let's have a look at the tires. Everyone on softs except Goodman and Boosted. They started on mediums. Tire strategy is not that important. Right when we speak about it, here it is, presented by the Amazon Web Services. It is a definitely one-stop race, no matter what tire you start on. And here we are with our leader, Jeppe Nielsen, who is running away already by 2 seconds almost from Blake Gary. What a huge start from our youngest driver in the field, and he had himself a really good start, but he is obviously not able to maintain the pace, to match the pace of Jeppe Nielsen. And that means he will be chewed up DRS-wise very soon as it is activated. And it looks like Mike Taylor is already in his slipstream and almost able to attack Gary even without DRS. But he now had a bit of a slip, and that gets in Dylan Chapman into the discussion there. Maybe, potentially. But no DRS yet. Oh, mistake from Blake Gary, and that costs him his P2. Oh no. Blake Gary had a big slide there. Power drift in Lesmo 2, but this is not how you drive a Formula 1 car. And this is an awkward position to get back in the right direction, but luckily there was no one else coming through the Lesmos. Wow, what a sad moment for Blake Gary. His race start was so good, and now he's down to 10th and will need to have a pit stop for a new nose now. And yeah, there he is. There he is into the pits. So let's have a look. This is Jeppe Nielsen, 3.5 seconds away already. And now next one chasing him is Mike Taylor. And now it is Taylor who is in the grasp and under attack from Dylan Chapman. Then in fourth, Thomas Walsh, not far away either. And pit stops for Keo Lauvik and still Blake Gary. Dominic Walsh, who had a problem in his qualifying and was disqualified, our overall leader by the way, is already up into 7th. He had to start from last and he is already 7th. That is really, really good. We have we have a full safety car now because Leonard Cam is out. Leonard Cam crashed in Ascari. Watch out, boys, watch out. Oh my, Ascari, the big cemetery. And let's have a look. Yes, Aqua, the first one already pitting. Using this early safety car phase for an early pit stop. He will go to hards. Oh no, he will go to a new nose. Soft to soft and a new nose. So he will have to stop again. And here is Ash Ryder into the pit lane. What is this about? Ah yeah, he did that what I expected. Red to white and then try to go through or hope for a late second safety car phase. This could work. But he was actually the only one who pitted in. Blake Gary did so 1 lap earlier. He is some sort of the big loser because he dropped down so far with stopping 1 lap earlier. So Iggy Lai and Leonard Cam already out. Now let's see. Does Jeppe Nielsen pits? He should have had 1 pit entry already when he ignored it. Now he pits. He pits. Mike Taylor does not. Chapman does not. Tom Walsh does not. Grimo will not because he's on mediums. Dominic Walsh does not. Nielsen intending to go through on this set of hards. Let's see if that was a very good or a very bad idea. Every one of his championship rivals are through. Everyone is ahead of him. Tom Walsh, and Dylan Chapman. All of them ahead. So, what else is important now? We see Gregory Mortier in P9, who has stopped for mediums. Same goes for Awkward in P13. I don't think they can go through on mediums from now on. So I expect they have to stop again, and I am not sure if a set of medium is the right tire for this strategy now, because if you have to stop again, why not go on softs then? But okay, we will see how things will turn out in the ongoing 21 laps, exactly 21 from now. As the field is stretched out so far, we will have us one more lap of safety car, and I will be back with you in a moment. So the lights are still flashing because there is the opossum Keolauik so far behind. So we have us yet another lap of safety car. Oh no! And there's a Red Bull! There is a Red Bull! That was boosted! Boosted! The reserve, he was very close to Monster, the number 1 Red Bull driver, the championship contender. For a short moment, I was thinking this was Japanese and who has crashed under safety car condition, but luckily he wasn't. And boosted. He is going on. I'm not sure what exactly he is intending. Besides warming up his rear tires, maybe. His front wing is damaged, so I am really not sure why he didn't pit. Yeah, okay, we will see how things will go on for him. So this is definitely one of our longest safety car phases in the whole season thus far. I think and hope that the safety car will be, in this lap. And then it is on Mike Taylor to pace and lead the field here in the last sector. Yeah, I am not sure which drivers had the most advantages out of such a long safety car phase now. Not sure this might help the medium runners a bit. Anyway, we are back to racing, back to green. Mike Taylor is far away from Chapman, who has Tom Walsh sitting right in his gearbox. But as soon as Tom Walsh moves out of the slipstream, he is too slow again. So this will take until DRS is being activated. Then from the rear wing of Tom Walsh we see a big gap forming to Goodman. Here is Mark Goodman's Alpine, the front medium runner. So this is a disadvantage now on the restart, as everyone else around him has softs mounted, but on the long run he will have a pretty good spot for a potential podium. And then is in 5th Dominic Walsh, who is already pushing on Goodman, but not yet. As soon as DRS will be activated, this shouldn't be too hard for Walsh. And if we have a look over the rear wing of Tom Walsh, we will see Jeppe Nielsen being close. While we see some issue at the end of Ascari, Gregory Mortier is the issue. He is digging himself out of the dirt, and Awkward is slipping just through. Damaged front wing, pit stop probably incoming here for Mortier. Likewise it is for Booster, who picked up a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Anyway, here is our top trio again. This is the view of Tom Walsh, who is trailing Dylan Chapman and then Mike Taylor. So all Mercedes on the podium right now, at least Mercedes engines. No DRS yet, still one lap to wait, but it is obvious that Thomas Walsh is a lot closer to Chapman than Chapman is to Taylor. Chapman even has to watch out that he will still be inside the DRS window as soon as it is activated, and right now it does not really look good for Chapman. And in the background here is Dominic Walsh, who is close to Goodman, and there is Ash Ryder finishing his race in Ascari, of course. Where else? Where else? The big F1 cemetery. Pit stops. Chapman, Tom Walsh, Gary, Ekic, Lovick, Mont. Busy pit lane here now. Of course, everyone pits who didn't in the first safety car phase. And now, lap 11, we have at least 2 laps of safety car. Means then we will have maybe 14 or 15 laps of racing action left. And then you definitely can run to the end on this set of fresh mediums here. I expect all the medium stoppers to be able to go through now. And that means that this man committed a mistake on his first stop, Jeppe Nielsen. He can finish the race on his on his hards, but the medium runners around him will be a lot faster then. Let's see how things will turn out in the end for him. Mike Taylor pits now, and this was because his teammate stopped just right before him, and he stops for hards. Oh my, that was a big mistake, stopping for hards. And Grimo stopped for hards too. Grimo. That was bad luck situation for Grimo. Grimo was the only one left who started on mediums. So if he wanted to have a set of tire that lasts to the end of the race, he had to stop from hards now. The other option was to stay on the mediums, wait a bit longer, and then stop for softs as late as possible. But he opted to stop under safety car, what costs him a lot less on times, of course. But he will have a problem. He will have a problem to hold all these medium runners behind him as soon as we are back to green and as soon as the S will be activated. So now We see Jeppe Nielsen back in the lead on his scrumped hearts, followed by the fresh hearts of Mike Taylor and Grimo Goodman. And then a big bunch of medium runners, Chapman, Tom Walsh, Gary Ikic, Tom Walsh, and Lauvik and Mont. So this will be an interesting restart because the, in theory, slower cars will be in front of the, in theory, faster cars, just tire-wise. So that will be interesting. That will be very interesting. We will have us, I expect, one more lap of safety car, and I will be back with you in a moment. So, safety car in this lap. Now it is Jeppe Nielsen who is pacing the field here in the end of sector 3. And when will he pick up the pace? When? Still wiggling. Now he does. Back to green, and this wiggle was a problem for Mike Taylor because he is already attacked and overtaken for the moment by Grimo Goodman. Grimo in second, the winner of Austria. Fair racing here in the first chicane. Yellow behind them. There was something going on. I think it was Ikic. Yes, must have been Nevis Ikic. Mike Taylor back in second after the attack from Grimo. That all goes to the favor of Jeppe Nielsen ahead as he can try and run away. And then in fourth, Dylan Chapman. Going through the Lesmos, that is a big torture. The cars have a lot less downforce to be fast on the straight. So everyone is torturing himself with a lot of understeer through the Lesmos, especially if you have some dirty air. Grimo wide lane there at the end of Ascari just survived somehow. And right behind Chapman is Thomas Walsh. And you can visibly see how much the medium drivers are faster than the hards, and this is the big problem of the top trio, and soon not top trio anymore. Grimo down to fourth, overtaken from Chapman. Can he hold it? Yes, he can. Barely, but he can. And now have a look. Thomas Walsh, right, the next one, who is attempting an overtake here in Curva Grande. I want to quote Fernando Alonso, you always have to leave a space, no? right on this position. No attack in the second chicane. No attack, but it is just a matter of time, it seems. Yellow in sector 2, that is behind us. That was boosted. Boosted spun at the second chicane. And yeah, no DRS yet, but it looks like it is just a question of time. When DRS is being activated, there is a big battle group actually right ahead of us. From this vision, this is the view of Dominic Walsh. He is about to crawl away out of the 1 second window from Keo Laubig behind, but ahead is a big pile, a big gaggle of cars. And there is Blake Gary, who had a good quality, who had a tremendous good start, and then threw it away in lap 2 or 3, and all just to make him go up into 6th right now, maybe even further. But I think he crashed into the rear of his teammate. I think he ran into the rear of Goodman just ahead of him. He is in 5th provisionally, but not sure if he can hold it or if his front wing might be damaged. I couldn't see it there. Maybe he hit heavily over the curbs, and both the Alpines go heavily over the curbs, and there's one out. This is Grimo. This is Mark Goodman. My goodness. Alpine havoc. Oh, that is sad. Such a good race for Grimo Goodman. After the second safety car, he was looking into a podium, and it was obvious that it was too hard for him to hold it on the hards against all the others around him. And in the end, some coming together with at least one of them was his teammate, made him drop down, and Blake Gary had himself a wild moment there as well when flying over the curbs there in the De La Rocha. And now he is being overtaken from Tom Walsh as DRS is activated, and behind there's another one. This is Tom Walsh, who's already pushing. Oh my, Tom Walsh almost lost his car on acceleration. He might have received a bit of attack there from Andrew Mant. And now acceleration duel, Tom Walsh against against Gary. Gary tries to stay inside, so he has the battle lane for the De La Rocha, but he aborted the attack, or the defend maneuver actually. And now Tom Walsh is up in 4th, and Tom Walsh, the brother, is not too far away either. Gary with a bit of a problem there in the Lesmos, and that brings in this man, Tom Walsh now. Just a friendly reminder, if you didn't watch the quali, Dominic Walsh started from last position and is now in 6th and looking to make it 5th or 4th maybe. And he is our overall leader in the championship classification. Does he dare to attack? No, not yet. No attack yet. Ahead of Parabolica, yellow in sector 3. Ascari has struck again. Ascari has caused who to spin? I think Boosted or Mortier it was. And now main straight DRS supplied from Tom Walsh to everyone. Gary sliding a bit, but was okay. Not the biggest problem, but not perfect of course either. And meanwhile it is Jeppe Nielsen who pulled away on his hards. I expected the hards runners to be slower, but he is pulling away so far. Have a look, 4.5 seconds that Nielsen is away from Chapman. And one of the reasons for that is of course the fact that the drivers behind were fighting so heavily. Chapman had to fight through to be second. That costed him a lot of time, but it seems even now Monster is still pulling away off Chappers. And here in Ascari this lap everything went well, and Gary pushing against Mike Taylor, or who is it? No, it is Tom Walsh. It sounded like both were lifting, both wanted to have the DRS detection, and in the end it went in the favor of Tom Walsh. My goodness. And Dominic Walsh is there in too. What a big fighting group, and in the background there are the next cars who just wait for some sort of mistake from the drivers ahead. So what an intense battle. The lead is more or less safe to say. As long as he doesn't throw it away, this will be the next victory in the column of Jeppe Nielsen. But right here, there is a lot at stake, and a lot that needs to be fought. This is Tom Walsh in fourth. This is all the battle for fourth. Tom Walsh just ahead of Blake Gary, who is closing up heavily here in the DRS sector, and in the end just cruises by. But let's see what Ascari will bring us this time. No problems ahead, but there's a problem. Opossum Kiolawik still in the race, but with hot rear tires, and the next one was Nevisekic. Ascari is always a place to watch in virtual worlds. If I could, I would tilt the camera to Ascari only the whole race long. Pit stops for Awkward and Kiolawik, and a 3 seconds penalty for Blake Gary, and that will be huge. That will be huge, as we saw this group being so close together. So here we are back in our fighting group that got a little bit thinned out. Here I wanted to go. This is the view of Andrew Mart, and ahead is Tom Walsh, and then Tom Walsh, and then Blake Gary. Not as close as they were just 2 laps ago, but still close enough to probably deliver us some good racing action. For some reasons, Blake Gary made it out of the DS grasp of Tom Walsh. Ascari, everything fine this time. And Tom Walsh showing himself in the rearview mirror of his older brother Tom. Dom and Tom, both DS equipped. Tom Walsh is just inside the 1 second window again. But the gaps are too big for everyone to attack. Oh, nice power slide there from Tom Walsh. Yellow in sector 1. I think Andrew Mont had a little bit of lapse there in the Retifurio, the first chicane. Oop, bit of a dirt there in the Della Roccia chicane, but yeah, let's modes were okay, so everything is okay for him. I would like to suggest yellow in sector 1. That was maybe Kiolawik or Awkward. Maybe there was a bit of tangling between them. And who is wiggling there? Oh, it was Gregory Mortier who was running wide there in the Curva Grande, where Pierre Gasly had this accident this year, and he looks like he has some damage. Yep, front wing damaged. So another pit stop incoming for the Belgian man, who has just crushed the distance indicator for the second Lesmo turn. So I hope that no one in the game uses the indication, because then they will have a problem now, as there is no indication anymore. Anyway, this is the view of Jens Nielsen, who is leading with 5.5 laps with 6.7 seconds rather comfortably. He will, I suppose, make it go through the race on his old hearts. Even if he loses a bit of time, this is not a problem. He just cannot throw his car away here in Ascari. He leads over Dylan Chapman, 6.7 seconds behind. And Mike Taylor in third. Good race for Taylor. Fourth, and in a battle. This is our good old battle group. Tom Walsh against Gary and Tom Walsh. There was some yellow in sector 1. Not sure if it was Ikic or Mike Taylor, but let's focus on this. Attack from Gary, who is fast on the straights. DRS backed up, of course. And the brother, Tom Walsh, shows himself as well, but didn't dare to try and pull through. But Blake Gary with his 3 seconds penalty, this penalty is huge. This 3 seconds against Gary is huge. As both the Walshes are so close, that will mean that Gary will automatically be ranked behind both of them in the end. So both the Walshes just need to stay where they are, and they will be given 1 place up automatically. But as I know them, they will refuse to just accept this position. They will try and race it out until the very last meter. Next attack against Gary. No, not a real attack, just a little showing himself in the rearview mirror from Tom Walsh. So this time it is Gary who has 2 Mercedes engines in his rear, but have a look, he is fast. Tom Walsh almost he can barely get wheel to wheel, even though he is DRS equipped. First chicane, now Tom Walsh is through, and Tom Walsh in the Curva Grande, leave some space, boys. No chance yet for the Mercedes. Maybe in the De La Rocha, no. Not yet, not yet. And it looked like both the Walshes had a bit of acceleration problems. We saw Dom slip a little bit, and Tom didn't look like he was too fast out of lap 1 either. Next DRS zone. Gary's close, so this can go. These position swaps can go down until the very end. So now it is Blake Gary who is chasing Walsh, and it might be possible that those 2 boys will swap positions yet again in just approximately 1 kilometer. I know, but here accelerating out of Parabolica, it looks like Tom Walsh is too far away for an attack. Gary will get close, just ahead of the chicane, close but not wheel to wheel. Tom Walsh not in a position to attack either. Towards the second chicane, Tom Walsh defending on the inside. Very well defended. Not a chance, not the slightest chance for an attack from Gary. Oh, very aggressively there through Lesmo 2, and that made him lose ground a little bit, but Tom Walsh not able to attack. Gary against Tom, no, or at least not yet. Yellow in sector 2, that was Lesmo 2 who caused some troubles. For Gregory Morty, Morty is out. He crashed there at the end of Lesmo 2. 3 laps before the end of the race. I hope it will stay with yellow. Now it looks like Gary is a lot closer to Tom Walsh. This should work for Gary. And easily through. Does Tom slip through too? Nope. Now let's see what the penultimate lap brings for us in this Gary versus the Walsh Bros situation. Blake Gary in 4th. Just a reminder of his penalty, +3, so he will be behind both the Walshes anyway. And now, there was a bit of acceleration trouble there for Gary. That caused Tom Walsh to catch up. Tom Walsh aggressive in the rearview mirror of Gary here through the Lesmos. DRS zone. Tom Walsh, does he dare to attack? No, he doesn't. He wants to do it in the last lap, in the last DRS zone, when Gary is unable to counter him. Or does he do it now? No. Have a look. Tom Walsh had to brake. He had to step on the brake pedal in order to not crash into them or to be DRS equipped. And now it is Blake Gary. What a tricky maneuver from Gary, who tricked Tom Walsh so that Gary will be DRS equipped, and that caused Tom Walsh to slip through too, and Tom Walsh overtook Gary in the chicane. My goodness, what big ups and downs here. What a tricky, sneaky maneuver from Gary, but totally legal, of course. Gary will be ranked behind them because of the penalty, but the big story is that Tom Walsh will be ahead of Tom Walsh will be ahead of Tom Walsh, and all of that just because of the trickerations of Blake Gary, who is now down to 6th anyway, and will be behind Monza then, even because Andrew Mont is close enough for the penalty. And this is the race victory. Couldn't depict him very often in the end. I hope he will forgive me. Congratulations, Jeppe Nielsen, winning yet another race here in the Temple of Speed. Second will be Dylan Chapman. Very silent race. Not able to follow Nielsen, but a good result in P2. And same goes for Mike Taylor. Silent race, but a good race. Good podium position for Mike Taylor. 4th is then Dominic Walsh, with this intense and great battle against his brother, who finishes 5th. Andrew Mann then 6th, ahead of Blake Gary, just as expected. Whew. Intense race, very intense race, but this is just how MRS is. Very exciting, delivering us tons of action. And in the final lap, it is Ikic who is struck by Ascari once again. I mentioned it a few times. Ascari, one of the biggest F1 car cemeteries. Driver of the day is Tom Walsh, at least by the game. And here is our podium right over the main straight. And the digital champagne version, of course. So, and after 2 consecutive Italy races with Imola and Monza, we will stay in the Mediterraneans for next week. But first, this is the final result of Temple of Speed. Jeppe Nielsen has won it ahead of Dylan Chapman, and in 3rd Mike Taylor. 4th is Dominic Walsh, 5th Tom Walsh, 6th Andrew Mann, P7 Blake Gary, 8th Mark Goodman, P9 awkward, 10th is the opossum Cleo Lauwik, 11th just DNF in the very last meters. Name is Ikic, but he is still in the classification, of course. 12th boosted, 13 Gregory Mortier. And not finished, we see Ash Ryder, Stuart McDonald, and Iggy Lai. So this was the race in Monza, the Italian back-to-back races. I said it already, we will have us yet another Mediterranean race next week, as we will turn to Havocland, Monaco. Yeah, MRS, the Mainstream Racing Series, will be back next Wednesday in the Principality of Monaco. And we will race at 7:30 p.m. UK, 8:30 p.m. Continental. I would be very delighted if you would check in then again. For the moment, thanks for being with us. Have a nice weekend. Stay safe in these times and keep racing.